Well, hello everyone. This is Chrystal Lynn coming to you from Southern California to talk to you about what is going on up in the sky. We are still at the tail end of our full moon in Scorpio, and as we speak right now, the rising sign in Southern California is in Scorpio at the tail end. So there's this ascendant and moon conjunction. So I'm just kind of waiting for the right time tonight to come on. I did a video the other night at the beginning of the full moon. So much has been going on. I just had so much stirring in my heart that I just want to share some things with you guys and encourage you guys and see how you're doing and hear from you guys. So I thought tonight I'd just talk a little bit about what is going on in the astrology. If you haven't subscribed or pressed the notification button and commented and all those things, please do so if you feel so compelled. Or if you even want to just email me, my email will be below, and just, let me know what's happening, how things are going. If you have any questions, I just want to be in touch with you guys right now because I feel like right now there's some really important things happening and we really need to stay connected right now, you guys. First of all, we are in the tail end of this full moon in Scorpio. It only happens once a year. And we know that Scorpio is ruled by Pluto and Mars, and it's the hidden things, right? The stuff behind the scenes, that eighth house stuff, that psychic ability, that ability to tune in and really sense, kind of that sense of what's going on. I'm not feeling right about something. This can be our intimate relationships. These can be the areas where we've had trauma. So when the full moon comes, it really opens up and illuminates these areas in our life. These are the areas we don't really like to talk about and think about, right? But right now, I think it's important to really look at our lives as we speak, over the last 2 days. What areas in your life have come up? What things in your life have come up? Now, I know that we are in the middle of a very, very intense period, intense time in life, historical time in life with what's happening. And it's so hard for me right now because there's so many things I want to say about it. But at the same time, and I'm not trying to get into conspiracy stuff, although the full moon in Scorpio is fun for conspiracies, we unfortunately have to be careful what we say right now, and especially as spiritual leaders or in this industry, or those of us who are trying to live this spiritual life. We're the ones right now that do have to be careful. So I'm going to kind of have this honest conversation with you because we're the ones who can really read behind the scenes, especially if we understand astrology. We know that this time in history has been predestined before time. We can try to blame it on this country or on this president or on this government, and yes, everybody has accountabilities and responsibilities, but the truth of the matter is, what's happening right now is the universe's way of shaking us up and making incredible changes, preparing us for this new age in Aquarius. When we think about Aquarius, we want to remember that it's the sign of humanity. It's a sign of rebellion. It's a sign of rights. It's the sign of sticking up for the underdog. It's that rebellious side. And so right now, as we speak, we have so much of this division that's been happening really for a long time, building to this point. But so many people going, wait a minute, our lives are being controlled. Our lives are being told that there's one way to think about all of this that's happening, and there's one way to handle it, and there's only one way to deal with it. And I guess that's what I want to share with you guys tonight is to remember, in spite of this situation, we need, like never before, to use our intuition, to use our spiritual tools. We've been being prepared for this really since 2012 when Saturn was in Scorpio, when our spiritual life took a complete radical shift. A lot of people talked about the end of the world in 2012. Well, yes, it was the end of a way of thinking, a way of living. The earth is always evolving. And so when we look at evolutionary astrology, it's really fun because we can see these shifts and these changes. You know, it's funny because the last couple of years, I kind of felt like every time I came out on a video, I was just saying the same thing over and over and over again, you know. And so after a while, I was like, every time I make a video, I keep saying the same thing, you know, that feeling of, you know, what's going on? It's because the things that I share with you often are the things I'm working on in my personal life. If I haven't worked on them or they aren't true to me, I'm not going to share them with anybody else. And the last few years, the message has really been learning how to take care of my mental health, how to look at what I'm putting into my body, how to look at natural ways to edify my body, herbs and exercise and meditation and music, and how those things used to be a luxury. You know, people used to say, you gotta take time for yourself, you know. Especially, you know, someone like me who's had children and gone through all the stages of, you know, putting my family first, you know, taking care of myself actually was always something kind of uncomfortable for me because I'm always thinking about the things I need to do. And a few years ago, I was dealing with some pretty heavy-duty anxiety, I'm just going to say to the least. And I don't know about you guys, you should look back in the summer of 2017, August of 2017, there was some really intense energetic combustions, and I was someone that was very affected by that, on top of the fact that I was going through the beginning of my Chiron return. And so a lot of stuff comes out in us, and for a lot of us, the anxiety that we all want to diagnose as anxiety or depression or bipolars or all these things that we have titles for, right, was completely consuming my life to the point where I just couldn't even function. And from that point on, when I came through that stage, I had to just really take care of myself, and just, you know, someday hopefully I'll be able to tell you guys like the whole story. But, you know, I really had to just really make specific decisions for my mental health, and my mental health being, you know, who am I around? What energy am I connecting with? What relationships am I investing in? What people are I allowing around me? That I'd really rather be alone and really grow in my creative side and take care of myself and my family, my children, and really focus and not allow anything to really trip me up, my mental health, to decide what's the most important thing. Because when you go through a stage where mentally you're dealing with so much anxiety and fear and unsure, you know, being unsure, and your body, you know, is going through these changes, you know, you really realize that it's, you know, you can lose such a part of yourself. And when I got myself back, when I came back and I started to feel better and started to get healthy and started to take care of myself, I realized how important these things that I was doing in my life were, and how I lived my life in a mentally healthy way. And so I've been talking a lot about these things, and it's interesting because right now as we speak, with what's happening, we as a humanity, as a world, are all having to really look at ourselves. And there's a lot of fear around us, and I think there's also a lot of questioning of what is going on. And I think the messages that I've been trying to share about taking care of ourselves are so important, because that's really the only power we have right now. And so right now as we speak, on top of having this full moon in Scorpio, uncovering a lot of things right out on the internet and the stories being told, I'm not going to talk about them because I don't want to give just my conspiracy theories and opinions, because I'm like you guys where, you know, I'm taking in all the information, and I hope you guys are too. I guess that is the biggest thing I can say tonight, is that we have the resources to learn, to study and research ourselves. What is going on around us and how can we be our best? How can we grow our own food? How can we, do our own medication through herbal remedies to help build up our systems and our immunities? The more apart we are and the more social distanced we are, the less immunity we're going to have. I mean, that's just a scientific fact. And yet, we're trying to stay away from everything that's bad. And it's like desensitizing. I don't know if you guys have really ever heard of that term in terms of what I'm going to say is, if we desensitize ourselves or we sensitize ourselves to every single bug or virus or person or thought or what have you, we're going to be so sensitive that we won't be able to handle anything. And so there's this balance. But right now, we're being told that we all have to completely shut down every part of us. And it's disturbing when you see family members, like my mother, for example. She lives about 10 miles away, and my mother and I are really close, and, I can't see her. It's been 3 months now. I mean, I've been able to go over there, help her take her trash out, but I'm like waving to her outside her gate because I'm so afraid of bringing her anything, because this narrative that we're being, the story that's being told and that we're being, having to live by, this new narrative is really scary. There's been stories about, people who've had parents ending up in the hospital that, we're going, the doctors basically said there's nothing more we can do. There was one story about a son that brought his father home. He was in his 80s, and he brought him home. His father begged him, don't let me die here. Let me just die at home. And yeah, he had to take a chance. He'd already been exposed to him. And do you know that he brought him home, and he got on the internet, and he, Dr. Google, and he looked up every possible situation, other therapies, other things. I mean, just how you lay down in the bed makes a big difference, and did everything he could, but the love he gave his father and the love their family gave him. And, they put like, the FaceTime where they could talk to him all day long, and and he ended up living through it. Now, I'm not saying there's one exact answer, but what I'm saying is, don't forget, you guys, we're becoming so sterile and so distant and so separate that we're losing the touch, the healing touch of love that we share with one another when we touch each other, when we connect, when we hug each other, when we tell each other close up, I love you, when we lay our hands on each other and pray for each other. And we just have to be careful right now that we really study and know what's going on. Don't just take one person's word for this. I really believe there's universal messages coming through, channeling down to us, those of us who are on this front row, on the front lines spiritually. There's messages telling us, how to stay healthy, how to keep our vibration high. That is one of the most important things we can do, is stay in a high vibrational state. Eat high vibrational food, live, fresh food, to listen to music, keeping our vibration high, to doing the things we love to do. I am, really thought about it, and I thought, I love to talk about astrology. I'd love to talk about astrology. I don't have anyone to talk about astrology with. And I thought, wait a minute. I have this channel, and I have you guys, and we can have these conversations, and I really miss, being able to have, and that's high vibration that keeps me in a good place. I don't know, I think we can get, kind of knocked down. I know for myself, just the whole social media scene a lot of times wears me out, and then I stop doing what I love to do, which is astrology and reading charts and what I'm gifted at, and helping people see the big picture, because every day I'm looking for the big picture in my life. So, all that being said, and there's so much more to say, I just want to say, as we speak right now, the North Node has moved into Gemini. This is a brand new 18-month cycle, okay? We're just moving out of the North Node in Cancer. The North Nodes go backwards, okay? So that means the energy, the obsessive energy in our collective right now has moved into Gemini. Cancer, think about it. That North Node in there has brought us to a complete shutdown. In our homes, locked down, just like the crab hiding out. We've done it. We're doing it. But now the energy is going to bring us out to our community, to reaching out, to talking, to having these conversations, to researching, to looking at all the data, to being wise enough people that we can look things up for ourselves and not just believe what everybody tells us. And it concerns me. It concerns me that I'm afraid to even say the word, the C word, because it gets tracked, and the next thing you know, this YouTube video could be taken off if I say one thing. And that's not freedom of speech. That's not what America was built on. So we have some heavy-duty issues, you guys, coming our way. And I want us to be prepared. I want us to be holding hands. I want us to be strong and encouraging each other to take care of ourselves and to have an outlet. So I'm here for you guys. I'm going to be working on a video. I should have it out like this weekend. I'm going to work on it because I'm really excited to get it done, where I talk about the North Node going through all the signs, okay, and more specific. But this North Node in Gemini gives us a chance to really play different characters, have that committee in our heads, looking at things from different perspectives. If you get on a thread and somebody's talking negative about something, and somebody else is talking positive or sarcastically putting something down or any of those things, you know what? That's not the heart we need. The heart we need is, wow, let's look at all the data. It's important because Saturn moving into Aquarius this winter in December for a 2.5-year period, that's rebellion, okay? So we already are dealing and have been dealing with this energy of civil war and knowing our civil rights and having to look at our government like never before and politics and all these crazy things that most of us don't like, but we can't bury our head in the sands. And what's great about the North Node in Gemini, it's going to give us that ability to study. So study our civil rights, study our health, study medical journals, study past pandemics, study past stories, study all the things that we can do. Find ways to bring joy. Do not let anyone or anything strip us of our joy, because that's what this is wanting to do. And when we're not living and breathing and having a vision, the Bible even says that without vision, people will perish. If we lose our vision for whatever it is, I don't care if it's the vision for a garden, we've got to have some hope here. So, all that being said, you guys, I just want to say I love you. Happy full moon Scorpio. I've got some other videos coming your way. Please comment below. It really means a lot to be able to hear from you guys and talk back and forth and just hear how you're feeling. So I know I'm not the only one out here. But anyway, if you are looking for a chart reading or anything like that, you guys know where to find me. My website's below, and I'm here. And I want to use those gifts. And that is part of Gemini, using your talents, using your gifts, using your hands, and really connecting and talking really fast like I am tonight. All right, you guys, have a great night, and I'll be on with another video coming up this week on the North Node through all the signs and through the houses. So keep updated with me, and I will talk to you guys later.